Parenting is the hardest job, and there is not a close second. Raising high-performing teen athletes or performers? That's a high-stakes job. I'm Nate Crandall, joined by fellow certified high-performance coach Steve Galley. We coach ambitious parents like you, and also your high-performing teens, because when you both level up, connection and results don't just improve, they multiply. Welcome to the Stop Parenting and Start Coaching podcast. We have some burning questions for you.
Are you sleeping on this?
I've slept on a lot of things in my life, Steve, and I'm pretty sure I'm not sleeping on this one because I think we're building on what we talked about last time, if I'm not mistaken.
That's the only time I'm going to use it.
Okay,
That
good.
is that's the only time I'm going to use the yawn sound effect.
Well, we're not sleeping on this topic. We're going to bring it again and help parents to get in even more of an effective conversation with their kids about how to make sleep work for them and their energy.
Yes, I want to get practical and I want to really get into the nuts and bolts, the puzzle pieces of how you can help your teen to get the sleep that they really, really need.
Yes, sir. You're the high priest of practical, so I think this is a great one for you.
Well, and I think it's important to note at the outset here, Coach, that we want to focus more about helping parents create conversations with their teens that help them to create the systems.
Facts.
Rather than to pull down some, to lay down the law, to set up the rules, to do some draconian code of conduct.
You are not Moses descending from the mount with the 10 Commandments. This is a conversation.
Yeah. So I would like to ask you a question.
Please do.
Coach, why is sleep not a character issue? Because sometimes we make it a character issue.
Yeah, we call our kids lazy.
Do we? Oh, I was about to use that L word.
Yeah,
yes.
that hurts because that's a big time label, and kids pick that up more than we realize they do, especially if we call them lazy because they're sleeping too much. It's not a character issue. It's biology. It's not and bedtime's not a competition. It's not about you winning bedtime and, oh yes, I'm a great parent because I got my kid to go to bed at 10. No, you're a great parent when you have a great conversation and you help your kid make the decision to go to bed at a time that they need to. Understanding they're fighting some biological issues that make it hard for them. But this is a great chance to start working together to, like you said, design a sleep system. I think we've even got something at the end of this episode that we're going to share to help people design this system that we're talking about.
Yes, we do. It's a sleep agreement. And I'm going to share with you one of my favorite high performance sleep frameworks.
Yes, sir.
That I have tested and it's proven to be very beneficial to me.
Yeah. You've talked about that before. I'm excited for everybody to hear that.
Let's talk about the performance reality that these kids face. And I think, Nate, the older I get, the more I look on teens and their parents now, and in our crazy world, how much is jam-packed into the day of a student.
So crazy. Crazy.
And I also don't want to be so soft and just and lower our standards and lower the bar and tell them to not participate in things.
No,
because we've done episodes on specialization and the load that's on kids, but these kids really they've got school and they've got these activities and the massive amount of screen time. And
the missing element here to me is the ownership from the teens. And this is why I love what we're doing with these episodes about sleep is we need to empower those kids to start making decisions about what matters to them. We need to open the conversation so they have somebody that's not in their own head that they can talk to about, okay, how do I prioritize school, sports, social, work, all the other things that we're trying to do.
Conversations.
Yep. And this is such a great opportunity to start because they get the benefit. They understand that this is important for them, but they need some coaching on how to prioritize, on how to put this over this and be okay with that. And we're the Stop Parenting, Start Coaching podcast. And this helps you as a parent to be equipped to have that conversation with your kid. I love what we're doing here.
I do too. So what's the strongest argument that parents can make for sleep without boring their teen to death with a list of studies, without laying down a whole bunch of rules, and without going into full-on lecture mode?
You mean you shouldn't sit down and talk about the longitudinal meta-analysis that connects sleep problems with later mental health outcomes?
You know what I do when we look at studies. You know exactly what I do, Nate.
Yeah, now you play the yawn sound effect.
I skip the abstract. I skip everything.
Yeah,
I get right down to the bottom. I want to read the summary. Like what is the meat here?
As with everything, it honestly starts with a question. As a parent, you sit down with your teens. You're like, "Hey, Billy, how important do you feel sleep is for you to be your best?" And you get in their head, you let them open up. "Oh, you know what, man, I wish I could sleep more." Awesome. I love that you want to sleep more because, sleep really is important. And I could bore you with all the data, but it sounds like you understand that already. You get that intuitively. And I think that's awesome that you know that. How can you get more sleep? And just open the conversation and go, because I could talk about, how better sleep aligns with better cognitive performance. But kids get this and they want sleep, and that works in our favor. They want sleep, and they'll actually nap a little less if they start getting enough of it in big chunks at the right time. And naps aren't a bad thing. We're not saying don't let them nap, but have that conversation. And you can throw in some data. A little nugget here is, as a parent, I'm sure you've done a lot of research on that. We've talked a lot about a lot of stuff you could share. Go back and listen to the last episode because we got some more stuff in there. Drop in something like, "Hey, your reaction time will get better. You'll be able to, stop more of those balls that are coming at you. Or you'll be quicker delivering your lines." We can throw little things in, but the data comes in small chunks. The questions and inviting them to discuss it, that's the strongest argument you can make.
Yeah, I think if I was asked the question that included the name of our rival high school, I think that would have been effective for me.
Steve,
although we talked
do you want to beat Minico this weekend?
Yes. Yeah, I still want them to lose every game. Is that terrible? But
spoken like a true rival. I love it.
Yeah, we talked in the previous episode about how I was not yawning during high school. We started at 8:50 a.m. I got plenty of sleep, but I just thought of something, Nate. On the weekends, Saturday, Sunday, there were times during the year, usually often summer, where I would stay up too late, sleep way in. And I remember my mom would come in, and I love my mom. I miss my mom. But and I was never mad at her for doing these things, more annoyed than anything, and knew I needed to get up, but I was a teenager. But she would open the curtains, she would turn on the light, and there were sometimes, this is so dumb, but I would get up, run over, shut the curtains, turn off the light, get back in bed, and then it would be harder to fall back to sleep. But usually it was like the second or third time she would bring in a cup of water, and she would, some people nowadays might feel this is cruel and unusual punishment, but I grew up in the 70s, but she would flick the water on me. It was effective. I mean, it was good. I don't know
if you have Twin Falls water torture.
Do you have any stories of?
Oh my gosh, my dad.
Were you a lazy, sleep-in teenager?
I wasn't too bad, but I would definitely try to sleep longer than I needed to. And my dad's weapon of choice was the frozen orange juice can.
Oh, wow.
You know, like
chuck
it's
it
like
at you?
the concentrate stuff that
Hit
you
you
put in
with
the
it?
freezer. He wouldn't hit me with it, but man, you put that on, you know, somebody's bare back. Oh my goodness, that's cold and that snaps you right out of any sleep.
Well, the vitamin C orange juice can method.
Yes. That helped a lot.
Yeah. Okay, Nate, one of our favorite tools, thinking tools that we like to give to parents is something called the question-only conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about trying to reduce some of this resistance as you're talking about sleep with your teens. And instead of just laying down rules and going into lecture mode, what are some questions that parents could ask their teens?
A fun one, just because kids are always going to be underestimating the importance of sleep. Just hitting them with, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you think sleep affects your performance the next day? How does sleep affect your performance at practice, your mood, your focus? And just see, because I think kids gloriously underestimate this until you get them to start thinking about it. And if you get them to start thinking about it, they'll catch on pretty fast that if they don't get a great night's sleep, they're not their sharpest.
So are you saying that they'll probably give you a lower number,
Right.
but as
Like
as the conversation continues, that number's going to rise up on the 1 to 10 scale?
Yeah. But having the question-only conversation helps. It's like, oh, how much do you think sleep affects you at practice? Oh, I'd say maybe a 1 or a 2. Okay, so do you feel like you were super sharp at practice today because you only slept about 4 hours last night? Is there anything you could do better? And if the kid stands on that, they're like, yeah, I was great. I was razor sharp. Well, if you were that good on 4 hours of sleep, how good could you have been if you had gotten 8 hours of sleep? And just inviting them to envision, oh, wow, you know, because you don't want to put your kids down. It's not putting them in their place or anything like that, but it's inviting them to envision that they could be even better if they got more sleep. So you're raising their ambition to sleep more because they want to be better. So it just having that question-only conversation invites you to have those opportunities to say, hey, well, you know what you're doing. You feel like you're doing okay on 5 hours? That's sweet. How much better do you think you could do if you were to get 8 or 9? LeBron gets 10.
I like it. I think anytime you can put a little bit of a measurement on it, it is helpful. I like the question, if sleep were your teammate, what is that teammate doing for you right now? And how are you treating it?
Oh, I'm being mean to that teammate.
Are you dogging that teammate? You got another one?
Getting them to think about if you were to try a small tweak to your sleep schedule for the next 7 nights, just a tiny one, what would you try? How would you try to make your sleep better in the next 7 nights?
I love the word try. I'm all about experimenting. In fact, for a teen that is a little bit resistant, and this is extra challenging for you as a parent to have these conversations, encouraging experiment is a great way to get this started.
Yes. You're not telling them what to do. You're inviting them to create something. People support what they help create. And by inviting them to try an experiment, but allowing them to pick the experiment, that's a good way to do that. I love that.
Do you have a final question? Because after that, I am going to go scorched earth on something.
If you had an extra hour and a half of sleep every night, what do you think the first thing to improve would be? And getting them to be like, oh, well, maybe my mood would get better, or maybe I'd heal faster, or be less stressed, or, so
More
just
energy.
anything. But if you had 90 extra minutes of sleep per night, what would be the first thing to improve? Now I'm excited to hear you go scorched earth. I'm usually the one that gets cranky, so this is going to be fun.
Remember last episode when Cranky Crandall showed up and went scorched earth on school start times?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm still fired up about that.
Well, I'm going to go scorched earth on productivity worship.
Ooh.
And this happens a lot in high-achieving, high-performing families, both individually and collectively. And I'm going to use a phrase that just absolutely grinds me and gets me fired up. And I lived this life for about 2.5 decades until I made a shift. And that is, the word is grind. Okay.
Yes.
So, and we can go on social media, Nate, and you can just see this celebrated. You've got to grind. You'll especially see this in the world of entrepreneurs.
Rise and grind.
And I have coached many. And when you grind, guess what?
Burn out.
You eventually, if you're going to continue this, you are going to burn out. And I know lots of people will fight me on this, and that's fine. Let's meet behind the school at the flagpole, and we'll
I think
fight
it's
about it.
important to point out you're not talking about hard work being bad.
No, in fact, there's another word that often goes with this: hustle and grind. I actually don't think they really go together. I think that you can hustle. I think you can work hard. But I also think you can do better at keeping your health and your relationships intact. And my health suffered and still suffers because I was not getting enough sleep and I was in grind mode. And it was, I need more time to accomplish these things that I want to accomplish. And the thing I'm going to sacrifice is sleep. And I should have approached it a completely different way. So I think it's a blind spot because the scoreboards in society definitely promote being a grinder. But I would say that if you or your team, if you want to be elite, if you want to be the best version of yourself, if you want to be the highest performer, all those things that we put in air quotes, if you're not sleeping enough, this is akin to driving with your foot on the gas and your foot on the brake.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
It's not going to work, and you might think that it is, but there is going to be a point where you are going to be in burnout phase, and it's not pretty.
Yeah. It just invites more illness, more injuries. So many of the stuff we've already talked about. If you're doing as well as you're doing and you're working that hard and you're only getting a few hours of sleep, we ask you the same question we ask you to ask your kids. How much better could you be if you were getting enough sleep? Take the brakes off.
Yes, definitely. So we promised a sleep agreement and a framework. I think it might be good since I was going to give my testimonial on the framework.
Yeah, I'll start.
You start with the sleep agreement.
Love it.
And while you're listening to this, parents, no
sleeping.
No sleeping.
A great sleep agreement is one that is a mutual agreement. Okay, we have a tool called the agreement generator. If you want to pull that out, that's a great opportunity for you to bring that in and use that here to prepare for this. But here's how you make it mutual. Talk about these things, a non-negotiable wake-up time. And remember, this is mutual. It's not you giving the edict, you will be in bed by 10 o'clock. It's working with your team, being realistic. What does school look like? What's practice? What's the game schedule? When can we realistically be in bed? The wind down start time. When is that wind down time going to start? And it goes into the device plan. Where are we going to charge these phones? What time are we parking these phones? What's allowed, what's not allowed as far as devices? Great thing to have a mutual agreement with. There are definitely going to be exceptions to this, which needs to be addressed as part of this mutual agreement that you're working on, talking about what are the recovery steps that we're going to take. If we have a practice that goes late, maybe we've got some games that go late. What are the nap rules? How does the next day change? Discussing those things together really helps you implement them. So those are just those are the big four that we feel will help you to create that family sleep agreement that is mutually designed by you and your teens.
Love it. Flexibility. And whenever you say agreement, it does the opposite to me that the word grind does. It just
brings joy to your heart.
It brings joy to my heart because I love expectations, and I know you love expectations, but we really, really adore, admire, and love agreements. It's a step above expectations. And
Absolutely.
when they're co-created with someone else, and for you as a parent, if it's co-created with your teen, it it has a real chance of sticking. So my high performance framework that I just absolutely have loved, I wish that I executed it more flawlessly than I do. And there are times when I've been better at it because my schedule is crazy. But I will tell you, Nate, when I have been dialed in on something that we call the 3-2-1 framework, it has been so helpful for me as far as improving the quality of my sleep. And we didn't really talk about it, but we're both a little nerdy and dorky about our sleep. We use a sleep app. We use different sleep apps. I measure. He's got his Whoop on there.
That's an endorsement.
Video.
Hit us up.
I use something called Sleep Cycle that analyzes my sleep. I sometimes sleep with a sleep band, which are flat laying headphones, and I fill my brain with all sorts of good subliminal thoughts. But the 3-2-1 framework, this comes from, who knows where it came from? Abraham Lincoln, Henry Ford.
Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah, I did first hear this from a mentor of ours, Brendan Burchard. But I've also heard this from so many other people now that it's been shared quite a bit. But it's awesome. It's called 3-2-1, and it simply is this: 3 hours before bedtime, no more food or water. You need to reserve your blood supply for restoration and helping your brain do what it needs to do rather than going to your stomach and digestive system. Because if you eat too close to bedtime, the blood supply is forced to go help in digestion. Okay, 2 hours before bedtime, this one has been the most challenging for me, is no more work. So when I've done this most effectively, Nate, if ideas are popping up, I have a notebook and I write them down and leave it for the next day rather than, oh, okay, I've got to do this. And then the one in the 3-2-1 is, oh boy, this is tough. I fail at this one and I need to improve on this one. No more screens and artificial light, more blue light. And I do best when I read during this time period and read from an old-fashioned book, which I actually like versus a screen. So 3-2-1, 3 hours before, no more food or water. 2 hours before, no more work. And in the last hour, no more screens and artificial light, blue light.
Yep. It's a powerful framework, and if you can find ways to apply it, even if you start with a simpler version of it, just something that works, but anything to get you moving in that direction. And those are some incredibly powerful things if you can implement those, because when they do, like Steve said, they make a difference, and that's true.
Hey, share this episode, subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Stop Parenting and Start Coaching podcast. And may your sleep be absolutely glorious and restorative.
Hey,
is that a word? Restorative?
Restorative. Here's something for our parents to take home. You take this to the bank, you put it on your fridge. Sleep isn't a rule you enforce. It's a performance culture you build. Go build it with your teens.
Nate Crandall and Steve Gallen would like to thank you for tuning in to this episode. If you love what you're experiencing and learning from the Stop Parenting and Start Coaching podcast, please like, comment, and or leave a glowing review of this episode and the show. And to further help Nate and Steve expand their reach and impact thousands of parents, athletes, and performers, please share the show and subscribe to the Stop Parenting and Start Coaching podcast channel on YouTube. And if you want to explore further to see what Nate and Steve are creating to help parents of athletes and performers everywhere, please visit their website at createtransformbecome.com. That's createtransformbecome, all one word, .com. There you will find a growing number of tools and resources to help you elevate your parenting. Thanks again for tuning in. Now go create a magical relationship with your athlete or performer.